Hi, this is Akhil from Academy Upsc. So today we are going to see the current affairs of 20 October 2022. And today we have a total of 7 topics which are all related to UPSC CSE. And these topics are taken from the newspaper The Hindu. Interested aspirants can download the PDF from this Telegram link, right? So shall we move on to the topics? First topic is held up by Chinese. Yesterday, the Indian government has suggested few names for sanctioning in the United Nations Sanctions Committee. United Nations Security Council. India has suggested few names to be placed in the sanction committee, and the sanction committee's name is 1267 committee, right? So when India suggested these names, the only country which placed a hold on these names is China. So the reason the China said for holding these names is it wants some time to study these specific cases, right? But China says that it doesn't change its position on counterterrorism, but it wants some time to study these specific cases. This is purely geopolitical games because China is an ally of a country known as Pakistan, and Pakistan clearly supports terrorism. China wants to destroy India, and China supports Pakistan. Pakistan supports terrorism. So, since the attacks of Mumbai attacks in 2008, India has tried to different ways to build international consensus on cross-border terrorism, and one of the method is UNAC terror listings, right? So, let us see what is meant by 1267 committee. 1267 committee was formed in 1999 that allows any United Nations members to propose adding a name of terrorist or terrorist group. Even a single individual terrorist or terrorist group will consolidated list maintained by the committee that has affiliations to the Al Qaeda and IS terrorists. India successfully proposed the listings of several terrorist entities in past two decades, including Pakistan, Jaish-e-Mohammed, and Lashkar-e-Taiba. According to the rules, once a listing is proposed, every country in the UNSC should give no objection. Then only the proposed terrorist can be sanctioned, or else it can't be sanctioned, or the countries can place a hold, right? So what China did was it holded the Indian suggestions. Actually, according to the rules, it can hold only for 6 months. After that, it has to either hold or it has to approve it. But practically, there has been many miscalculations, and there has been many names which has been extended more than 6 months. Right. So, one of the most notable person which India suggested for sanction is JEM founder Masood Azhar. This guy was involved in Indian Airlines hijack IC-814, right? Even though his organization was sanctioned, this individual was not sanctioned because of China. China kept holding him on the UNSC terror listing in 2009, 2010, and 2016 to 18. Finally, on May 2019's Pulwama attacks, due to international pressure, China finally withdrew its hold. So, apart from the United Nations Security Council sanction list, do we have any other option? Yes. One of the option is Financial Action Task Force, and also we know that India has successfully placed Pakistan, a state-sponsored terrorist country, in FATF grey list, right? And it is believed that in this week and the Pakistan may be relieved from the FATF grey list, right? So let us see what is meant by United Nations. United Nations is an international government organization whose stated purpose are to maintain international peace and security. It has almost failed miserably. You can know the current world situations, right? Develop friendly relations among nations, achieve international cooperation, it have failed, and be a center for harmonizing the actions of nations. So when was International United Nations formed? It was founded on 24th October 1945, and it was a successor to the League of Nations. The League of Nations was a group of countries which was formed after World War One. Okay, so after World War One, this was formed, and after this we have another World War known as World War Two. So the failure of League of Nations led to the World War Two. So in United Nations, there are six principal organs known as General Assembly, Security Council, Economic and Social Council, Secretariat, International Court of Justice, and Trusteeship Council. This council is almost extinct, right? So, what we have studied is about United Nations Security Council. United Nations Security Council has subsidiary bodies as well as advisory subsidiary bodies. Counter-terrorism committees, International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda, International Criminal Tribunal for Yugoslavia, Military Staff Commission, Peacekeeping Operations, Sanction Committees, and Standing Committees. India has been trying to place terrorists on these committees, sanction committees. So this drawing is very useful. You can refer and you can study the whole United Nations body in this diagram, right? So we'll be moving on to the next topic, a new lease of life for climate action. So after this COVID-19 pandemic and this Russia-Ukraine war, there has been a devastating energy, food, and cost of living crisis. Right, and since from for the long time after 30 years, United Nations have warned that United Nations Development Program for Human Development has warned that human development measures globally have declined across most countries in past 2 years because most of the countries are suffering in any of the things such as war, disease, poverty. Countries are suffering from multiple factors, right? This comes against the backdrop of greatest existential truth, that triple planetary crisis of climate change, right? Pollution and biodiversity loss. Nine of the warmest years on record have been in the past decade alone. A decade means it has 10 years. And we have nine warmest years in the last decade itself. Except 1 year, we have nine warmest years in 1 decade itself, which was the last decade, past decade. The Paris Agreement and the COP26 summit in Glasgow represent urgent collective steps countries to take limited emissions. The Glasgow was the latest COP26 summit, right? So commitments that have been taken in this Glasgow summit was to keep our temperature in 1.5 degrees Celsius target. But we know, as per the current situations, it is impossible to maintain at this 1.5 degrees Celsius target. With a narrative so focused on geopolitics. Right now, the world is so focused on geopolitics. The countries are on verge of separation. You can see clearly now the West-East divide, right? So the focus on the individuals have been lost. The focus on individual people, climate, and other things have been lost. The countries fully focus on these issues of geopolitics. So at this time, our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, have proposed a scheme known as LIFE. Not a scheme, an initiative known as LIFE. The full form of LIFE is Lifestyle for Environment, announced by Prime Minister Narendra Modi at COP26. rather than framing the climate change as a larger than life. If you see the term the larger than life, every people will fear because it will create a mentality that it is something impossible to do it, right? So the explanation given by our prime minister is it is not larger than life, it is a way of it is a way of life. That's why it got the topic known as life. Mindful choices cultivated by life animate the spirit, such as saving energy at home, cycling, using public transport instead of driving, eating more plant-based foods, and wasting less, leveraging our position as customers and employees to demand climate-friendly choices. So one of the best method to do is a method called as nudge. So what is meant by nudge? Imagine I am the head of the family, right? Okay. So my family situation is bad. My economic situation is in bad condition. So uh, in my home, a person eats four rotis. Person eat four rotis. Okay. So what I have to do is, or I can say instead of rotis, I can say um, half plate, half plate of rice. A person eat half plate of rice, and plate has a diameter of around 30 centimeters. You have to imagine this. Okay, a person eat half plate of rice. So what I can do is, when my economic situation is bad, I can't buy enough rice. So what I am doing is, I'm nicely changing my plate's dimension. For example, I am changing it to 24 centimeter, and the person is unaware that the plate is changing. So he still eat half plate of rice, right? He doesn't know that he is eating in a small plate, but he is satisfied. This is a method of nudging. Nudging is changing our daily life activities, right? So we can understand. So as we know that Secretary General of United Nations have visited India yesterday. So Prime Minister and Secretary General have urged people to become to become to become a pro planet people. Uh, so the PM and the Secretary General has urged people to become pro planet, right, by 2027 by adopting simple lifestyle changes. So the lifestyle mission also recognizes that accountability is relative to contribution. Accountability means if a person emits more, he has to be more accountable than the person who emits less pollution. So you can understand then who must be more accountable in this world? The developed nations, because they are the persons emitting more. In this, according to this, 50% of global populations, poorest people, emits only half of the 1% of richest persons. So you can understand the clear difference here, right? So okay. The average carbon footprint of a person in a high income country is more than 80 times than the higher than the person in the least developed country. So our father of the country, Mahatma Gandhi, has said that the world has enough for everyone's need. As an individual, the world has given more than enough as an individual. But one person's greed that he wants more than his own need leads to disaster. Our country has been leading in uh, giving solutions in the climate change. From the Panchamrit targets announced by Mr. Modi at COP26 to support the International Solar Alliance CDRA Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure and South-South cooperation platforms on the world's fifth largest economy with vibrant business making enormous investments in renewables and electric mobility to a world-class public digital tech stack. India brings scale, expertise, and legitimacy, a well-positioned United Nations member state bringing the G20 and G77. So, what is meant by G20 and G77? G20, a group of 20 countries, and we have also discussed in yesterday's topic. So, what is meant by G77? G77 is a group of countries. So, consider this as a world, and this is northern hemisphere and this is southern hemisphere, and the countries in the southern hemispheres are generally regarded as poor countries. So G77 is a group of 134 countries. Even though it is a 77 G77, it has 134 countries, which is in some countries are in condition of least developed, some countries are developing, and it is a group of 134 countries collectively to voice out their opinions, right? So next topic is Center to Promote Destinations in 50 states of Swadesh Darshan 2. So we have recently we have few months back we have studied about integrated tourism circuits. So in integrated tourism circuits, consider a place A, then consider a place B, then consider a place C. What the government did was they connected these three cities, they interconnected these three cities and developed the infrastructure such as hotel facilities, road facilities, food facilities, everything interconnectedly, right? So when a person meet a tourist center A, I mean spiritual tourist center A, he will he will have an easy access to go to tourist center B, and he will have an easy access to go to tourist center C. So collectively the tourism and the growth of the people belong here will be growing, right, collectively. So, as a part of this integrated tourist circuit, we have a scheme called as or initiative called as Swadesh Darshan. Swadesh Darshan is concentrating on a particular place, right? So, cities such as Prayagraj, Chitrakoot, and Gwalior among the cities identified in 15 states across the country to be promoted as India's new domestic theme-based circuits and focuses on reviving on destination tourism, right? So 15 states are of the first base are Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra. Two destinations from each state have been identified. Some of the prominent places are Jhansi and Prayagraj in Uttar Pradesh, Gwalior, Chitrakoot, Khajuraho in Madhya Pradesh, Ajanta and Ellora in Maharashtra. Swadesh Darshan is 100% central government, and it gives the mantra vocal for local. So the Darshan scheme was launched by the Centre in 2014 itself for the integrated development of theme-based tourism. It gives central government gives financial assistance to state governments and union territories, right? So when the financing is given, it creates jobs, self-employment, local communities, enhances skills, hospitality, increase private sector investment, and it also helps to preserve and enhance the local culture and natural resources. So, post-COVID, we knew the tourism has gone down and the revenue from the tourism has also gone down. So, we the data on the pre-COVID they have given. See, 2017 to 18, 18 to 19, and 19 to 20. The revenue from the tourism has grown exponentially. You can look at this 14.78 to 14.87. 0.10% increase, and from this to 15.34 percentage respectively, right? So the fourth topic is we have to work fast to solve changes in space tech. So Now the PM have launched a new mission known as Mission Defense Space, DEF Space, right? DEF Space is defense related space. Space technology used for the defense purposes. It has been given for all the three services in the space domain. Under Mission Dev Space, 75 challenges are open to get innovation solutions for the defense requirements. Stating that space technology, we knew that our India uses space diplomacy exclusively, right? And we have been using this space diplomacy for the benefit of other countries. Many African countries and many small countries are benefiting from this. This is a statement given out by our PM Modi. There are more than 60 developing countries with whom India is sharing this space technology. Not only 60 developing countries, even United States and EU is also using our space technology. Our India will be using space technology and space diplomacy with the ASEAN by next year, right? This was the first time an opportunity was being given to the private industry. So, this defense space is given to the private industries also. Therefore, this defense space technology is not only for the offensive purposes. Offensive purposes means attacking someone. It also used to build technology enablers for the services, right? So not only this, opened the fourth Indigenization list means Atmanirbhar Bharat by creating our own weapons. So fourth indigenization list means uh, list of some weapons like 100 defense items. These items should be purchased from India only and not from the outside. This is the fourth indigenization list. This means India have totally released a total of four lists, right? Also, Modi has unveiled HTT-40 indigenous trainer aircraft developed by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. So pressure on rupee may rise if US rises further. So when we see, actually the United States have been increasing the interest rates. When United States increases the interest rates, the United States rupees will become stronger. When United States rupees become stronger, other currencies in the world will have a fluctuation because our currencies will become weaker relatively to the United States currency. So we expect the current authorities to continue to use reserves, but India, which has the fifth largest reserve, will balance this problem. But still, we have to import certain items from the foreign, which means our foreign exchange exchequer will definitely deplete when we import certain items from the foreign, right? In order to balance this pressure on the rupees, as the use rises the rates, in order to balance this, our RBI is also has increased the repo rate by 6%. So when the RBI increases the repo rate, what happens is our rupee will be getting stronger. But even though the RBI has increased the repo rate, the we can't match the US currencies um, strongness, right? Okay. So the public finances remain the key driver of rating and only the modestly affected by this development. Particularly, India is relatively insulated from the global volatility. Means, for some countries, the finances are coming from the outside, right? But in India, our finances are largely driven by our huge potential markets. So we don't have any problem, but still we have to import certain items, so we are seeing a small fluctuations. So Fitch expects that India's current account deficit to rise to 3.4% of GDP in financial year 2023 from the 1.2% last year. So current account deficit will also increase to 3.54% of total GDP in financial 23 from the 1.2% last year. So we'll be seeing the sixth topic, India to examine Russian oil price cap. So a group of seven countries have imposed an oil price cap on Russia. So first let us understand what is meant by oil price cap, right? So imagine there are four shops A, B, C, and D, right? So they are selling a same market, a same item known as E, right? So, um, so A is selling the item for 10 rupees, right? B is selling the same item for 10 rupees, but C is selling for 9 rupees, and D is selling for 7 rupees. So you can expect in which shop customers will go. Of course, customers will be going to the shop D because they are getting the product at the cheapest rate, right? So when the customers go to the cheapest shop, the other shops will have a huge loss because they can't sell these items. Right now the Russia is also doing the same thing. When the oil per barrel is expected to sell at 60 per barrel, is expected to sell at 60, Russia is selling it a barrel per 15 to 20 rupees, right? If this continues, other oil market will suffer. So what they are doing is they are putting in cap. Russia must not sell below 50. If it sells below 50, we'll put extra sanctions on Russia. Right? They are blackmailing Russia. This is what known as oil price cap. So India says it will review whether to uh, give note to Russian oil price cap imposed by G7 countries, or it have to take an individual decision whether not to give hands to G7 countries on putting a price cap on Russia. So what he says is, even though other countries have uh, started implementing this oil price cap on Russia, they have given certain exemptions, like from Russian Sakhalin Islands to Japan. Russia is exporting oil through pipelines to Japan. They have not exempted this one. So, whatever Union Ministry is as saying is, when Russia can sell oil to the Japan through pipelines, we have to study, or we have to consider whether we should join hands with the Western countries on implementing price cap, or whether we have to take another decision, right? So we'll be moving on to seventh topic, India fast emerging as Web3. So India has the largest amount of active startups in Web3. So what is meant by Web3? Web3 is new iteration of World Wide Web net. World Wide Web means WWW incorporates such as blockchain technologies and metaverse. We have seen metaverse in many videos. Metaverse means it's a concept of more than 70 technologies. More than seven, you can enter into this world and you can work like anything. It's like you will feel a new world where you can do anything you want. That is known as World Wide 3. So definitely you will ask a question, what is World WB Web 1 and Web 2? Web 1 refers to HTML, HTTP. It is an old type of browsers where we can only click and we can only read the data. We can't do anything more than that. But in Web 2, With the advancement of technologies, we can download the data, we can hear the voice, which is it is known as Web 2. And Web 3, we can go and present at the new dimensions of world, which is example of metaverse and blockchain technologies. So this is yesterday's question. For the first question, you see global hunger index is a reviewed that measure and track the hunger at the global, regional, and country levels. Right, this one is right. A higher score in the global country index gets a country at higher ranking and implies better performance. No, a higher score means a country is performing worst, and lower score means country is performing good. So when we neglect the point two, what is remaining is option B, which among the best can define the Neolithic revolution. So, what we studied in history is during the Neolithic Revolution, our agriculture has improved, right? So, option D. Today's topic is life, which we have discussed today, that aims at safeguarding the environment by adopting environmentally friendly lifestyle was launched by, and you know the answer to comment the answer in the comment box. Thank you.